stories can provide insight into the lives and actions of individuals who have set an example of either good or evil for humanity. So this morning, I want to recount the story of a man who had a divine plan crafted for him before his birth. Try to guess who was this character. So he was coming from a modest Israeli family. His father's lineage was infamous for a violent incident. Alongside his brothers Simon and I forgot the other brother. He and his brother perpetrated a vengeance against a Sychemite prince named Shechem. He was the son of Hamor, because he brought shame upon the sister whose name was Dinah. And this painful and shameful situation brought opprobrium to the life of his aged father, whose name was Jacob or Israel. And this added to the perpetrated dishonor by the older or the elder brother Reuben, probably was the reason why Jacob decided not to give the blessing upon the first born to the three brothers, but he decided to give it to the fourth one, Judah. So probably you have guessed who am I talking about this morning. I'm talking about Levi, the third son of Israel or Judah or Jacob. Sorry. So the name of this character paradoxically means united or attached. The point is that Levi was not attached to the counsels of his father and mother. He was disattached. And you know, connection is very important. If you are a child of any member of the church, or if you have family members, you know by experience that being united is very important. So he was disconnected from his mother and father. Nevertheless, the Lord brought about a change in Levi's life. And this is the more important thing, brothers and sisters. Because I don't know what has been your past life. You know it very well. The Lord knows it very well. But He can change your life and can change my life. And the reason why we are here this morning is because sometime in the story of our life, Jesus met us and He brought us here to His feet, and He started the process of changing our mind and life. This is what the Lord wants to do in everyone's life. He did it in Levi's life, and He enabled him to pass down the principles of devotion and loyalty to God and to his descendants. Time went on, and the biblical narrative introduces us to a family who were descendants from Levi. The unique mission of this family was to keep and save the people of Israel. I'm talking about the family of Amram and Jochebed. These parents exhibited commitment to God by bringing up their children amidst adversity. Sometimes we used to think that the biblical times were better and easier than our times. But it is not so. For this family, it was very difficult They were living under slavery in a place close by to this area. You know, they were able to raise 3 children committed to the Lord. 3 children that, despite the influence of the environment in those days, were able to serve the Lord. And you know, for example, the first of these children, Mary, the older sister, took on the role of a leader and prophetess in the people, or among the people of Israel. Aaron, the second sibling, became the initial priest, the first and highest priest of Israel, from whom the Lord established the priestly group of his people. Moses, the third son, achieved the remarkable feat of liberating his people from the Egyptian slavery and became a state leader, architect, builder, and shepherd. So we can see the success of this family. But this family was successful not by chance. They had a plan. God planned for them. They planned for themselves. And they submitted the plans to the Lord, and the Lord blessed them. So, dear brothers and sisters, you want to become successful in life, in your house, in your home, you have to submit your plans to the Lord. Acknowledge Him and let Him to work in your house, in your heart, and you are going to become successful. Moses was born in a humble home during a time when the Egyptian Pharaoh ordered the sacrifice of male babies under 2 years old. A difficult time. Through divine inspiration, Jochebed ensured his survival by setting him adrift in a wicker basket in the Nile River. You know the story. The daughter of Pharaoh, who used to bath in the river every morning, every day, to enhance fertility and extend her lifespan, noticed the basket floating by and requested her maids to examine its contents. And you know what she discovered inside? It was a Hebrew baby boy inside. You know, seeing it as a divine response and with compassionate heart for the baby, she adopted the child as his own. She named him Happy Moses. Happy Moses or Hero Moses, which means born or taken from the Nile. The Bible later discloses that Moses refused to be identified as the son of Pharaoh's daughter. You can see that in the book of Hebrews, chapter 11. So as the story tells, Moses' mother assumed the responsibility for his education until he turned 12 years. At that age, they separated him from Jochebed and brought him to the palace to live and prepare him as the next pharaoh of the Egyptian empire. And you know, the throne was for him. The throne was for him. And he was prepared to become the pharaoh, the king of that place. But you know, things are not easy when you want to do what is good, what is right. We don't find this in the biblical story, but we can find it in some storybooks. And we can see that the daughter of Pharaoh, she was not able to assume the throne. So the throne was to be occupied by the son, in this case, Moses. But due to concerns about Moses introducing the Hebrew beliefs among the Egyptians, the Egyptian priests compelled the queen mother, Hatshepsut, to appoint her late husband's illegitimate son as co-regent pharaoh, resulting in the emergence of Thutmose III. So, unfortunately, the impetus Moses disrupted the divine's plans for liberation of his people, and now he has to face challenges, and also he has to face his brother, his half-brother. He was against him. So God has to change the plan now. And brothers and sisters, sometimes we think about doing something, and God needs to change, to adjust our plans. Especially if we are not connected to Him, if we are not following His will, He needs to adjust. This happens also in the life of Moses. The process of changing and adjusting the plan started with shaping Moses' character to make him the meekest person on the earth. So probably the Lord needs to work in your character this morning as well, in my character. Because at the end, brothers and sisters, character is the only thing we are going to take from this world to heaven. So the Lord is working to change our characters. In the case of Moses, it took 40 years to refine his character. 40 years. So don't get discouraged. Probably the Lord needs to work more and more in your character changing. I need my character to be changed as well. So, brothers and sisters, 40 years. 40 years. And it was not in a court or a palace. Moses was driven to the desert lands of Midian, and there the Lord changed and transformed his mind. He did not exercise authority over a group of men or vassals, but the Lord led him to the desert to take care of a small flock of his father-in-law Jethro, or Reuel, same person. Throughout this period, he familiarized himself with the region's geography, the climate, and the resources of the desert. So it was very important. The Lord was not only changing his character, but was preparing his leadership. Sometimes, brothers and sisters, we think that when we go through trials and difficulties of life, we are wasting our time. We think we are in the wrong place, and we start complaining. But the Lord is polishing your character. The Lord is preparing you and me for things greater that we have in mind. You cannot imagine. Moses was in the same position. Probably he was thinking about 40 years in the palace, preparing to become the Pharaoh, and now I am taking care of this flock. I'm wasting my time. But the Lord had a plan for him. He was polishing his character. He was preparing him to become the liberator of the people of Israel. So the Lord used things that probably he was not used to. For example, simple tasks, doing minor tasks in the desert. For example, a country woman that helped him to shape his character. Praise the Lord that we have spouses. Our spouses helps us to change and to shape our character. and also husbands. So we have to be grateful to the Lord. Moses developed a greater distrust in himself while being in the desert than never before. You know, a person with a good preparation, he studied in the best places in Egypt, prepared to become the Pharaoh. But now the Lord is using simple things to prepare him for this great work. In that place, he learned to distrust himself, to doubt about his knowledge and wisdom, about his courage, his experience, and his power. But he learned to trust in the Lord. And this is the more important thing, brothers and sisters. We need to learn to trust in the Lord fully. Although the people saw him as something, as an unfit leader for the project that God had a different perspective of him. And probably this occurs to us as well. Many people can think that we are not able to do certain things, that we are unfitted for this. But if the Lord is with us, who against us? If the Lord is enabling us, everything is done. So it was the case of Moses. God acted as a potter, the divine potter, shaping the character clay of Moses, working silently to transform his mind. And he is willing to do it with us if we yield to the Lord. Moses not only led his people out of slavery in Egypt, but also served as their legislator and wrote 5 books, the Pentateuch. And you know, his writings became the foundation for many legislations around the world. How important is to submit our plans in the hands of the Lord? How important is to allow him to lead us, to shape us? The Lord accomplished this through his servant Moses. When Moses was called by the Lord to free his people because the time had come, and this is very important, brothers and sisters, everything has a time. Sometimes we are just rushing and we want things to happen in our time, but the Lord knows when is the right time. When God called Moses to free his people because the time had come, Moses questioned his own ability, asking, "Why me? Why me, Lord? You have many people around, more qualified than me, more skillful. Who am I to go to Pharaoh and lead the Israelites out of Egypt?" And you know what was God's answer? We can find it in Exodus chapter 3, verses 11 and 12. The Lord answered him, "I will be with you, and this will be the sign to you that it is I who have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God in this mountain." Praise be the Lord, because as the Lord said it, it happens this way. They were able to go and worship God in Mount Sinai. So this experience which led to his distrust in himself, was also full of love and wisdom and power coming from God. God blessed him in a very particular way. So, brothers and sisters, we see how God acted in Moses' life, and he is very willing to do it also in our own lives. Remember what the Lord said to Moses, same chapter 3, verses 13 to, chapter 33, verses 12 to 17, says that the Lord said to Moses, "You have been telling me, lead these people, but you have not let me know whom you will send. You have said, I know you by name, and you have found favor with me. If you are pleased with me, teach me your ways, so that I may know you and continue to find favor with you. Remember that this nation is your people." So the Lord replied, "My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest." Then Moses said to him, "If your presence does not go with us, do not send us up from here." Verse 16, "How will anyone know that you are pleased with me and with your people unless you go with us? What else will distinguish me and your people from all the other people of the face of the earth?" Verse 17, "And the Lord said to Moses, I will do the very thing you have asked, because I am pleased with you and I know you by name." What a beautiful words. You can see the close relationship between God and Moses, his servant. He was able to talk face to face to God. He was able to hear his voice. He was able to ask for God and to get his responses. And from these verses I have read, I just want to bring a conclusion this morning, brothers and sisters, friends and church leaders. These are the lessons for this hour. First, allow God to take full control. Allowing God to take full control is a key factor in attaining success. Allowing God to take full control is a key factor in attaining success. Secondly, it's important to keep in mind that He is the one who calls and empowers. God called you to become a member of this church, His family. God called you to become one leader in this church. So don't be worried. The Lord is going to empower you. Don't distrust Him. Third, because we have found favor in God, He knows both you and me by name. And this is lovely, brothers and sisters. The Lord knows you by your name. Can you imagine we are more than over 8,000 million people on this planet? And He knows you by name. He knows where you live. He knows what your needs. He knows what are your plans and dreams. That's amazing. He knows everyone by name. Fourth, allowing the Lord to teach us His ways is essential for pleasing Him. You want to please God? You have to take the time to know Him, to hear His voice, to allow Him to teach you. Fifth, if that happens, we will have His presence and find rest. And you know, in this scenario, inherit the promised land meant to achieve the goal. And for us, in our plans, in our personal plans, family plans, or church plans, we have to remind that if we are in the presence of the Lord and He is with us, we are going to achieve our goals. Sixth, Moses embraced the promise, not just for his own sake, but also for his own people. You know, God promised him to bless him. But he said, I am ready to receive your blessings if you bless my people, your people as well. So don't claim only the blessings for you yourself. Be generous. Share your blessings with other people, with your family members, with your neighbors, with your colleagues. 8, the presence of the Lord is the guarantee of success. And I think this is the essence, brothers and sisters. You want to become successful in everything? Recognize the presence of the Lord in your life. Allow him to come in your life, and he will prosper your ways. We introduce this reflection by reading Proverbs chapter 16, verses 3 and 9. We can go again to Proverbs chapter 16, verses 3 and 9 and read, Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and your plans will succeed. In their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. This is the only way, this is the only formula that we can use, that we can employ to be successful in everything we want in life. Just let me mention, brothers and sisters, that this is the greatest need for the world, for the people, for the church in these times. Would you like to allow God to come to your life, to adjust your plans to his will, to lead you? What are we waiting for? We need to focus more on Jesus in his kingdom. So, today, we can take the decision to submit our plans to the Lord, to allow him to come and take control of our minds. Let your plans align with God's will. Let your plans be guided by the Holy Spirit. And then we will be successful today and ever. May God bless us, brothers and sisters, as we start this year. As a church, we start a new leadership. May God bless us in doing what is right and following the Lord's will. God bless his church. God bless everyone. God bless us households. God bless the youth people, the children, the elder people of the church in this 2024. Amen.